Hello tankers and tankettes, welcome to a viewer submission, and this was actually one that was put into the 15k subs and a bit contest, so it's going to be a reasonably high damage game, but it's not just going to be about the damage. We're looking at the BDR G1B, and it's driven by John's 1169, and I think what I'm going to do for the next little while is I'll alternate back and forth between some of the contest entries and just my regular replay submissions, because some of the contest submissions, like I said in, I can't even remember which video it was, I could just close my submissions email for like 6 months and I'd probably have enough material from just the contest submissions, the good games that got sent to me, just to do all my viewer replays that way. But no, I'll try and pick the best of them, the most entertaining ones, and even though those people didn't win, I'll try and give them a little taste of, you know, 5 seconds of fame on YouTube anyway. So he's top tier. The BDR has a pretty good gun. It's a machine I rather like myself. I still have mine in the garage. And he is, well, he doesn't have the best armor, but he's able to be aggressive against incautious enemies, shall we say. And the Churchill 3, well, he's got a lot of backup at this point. So the Churchill 3 is just going around and doing a bit of a foolish thing. Pushing around that early is, hello, Crusader, is a bit risky when you don't have lots of backup from your team, because it doesn't look like there's really anything to stop Johns from just pushing around, and that's exactly what Johns is going to do. He's going to go around and shoot this Churchill in the butt. Now, they have lost some people in the process and are losing people, continuing to lose people. It looked like Johns had a bunch of backup initially, and now not so much. Yeah, people are dropping like flies. They're picking off people from the enemy team as well, but hello M7. Yeah, that's his fellow heavy tank VK that's just exploded. He's the last heavy tank left, because the T1 heavy almost already managed to die. So him and this very damaged Type T34 are now all that's left at this end of the town. The Suriati's in the north, and the other two tanks, the tank destroyers rather, the Marder and the Stug, are both on the field. And there's an Su-85B in between them, so yeah, it's very rapidly deteriorated, this situation. And hello, there's the T1 Heavy, who just took out the Type T34, so he's now all alone. Now, I'm not quite sure why he went round the corner to try and shoot at that cruiser, maybe get some shots at anything else that was on the field. And he has just in time noticed the T1 Heavy on his minimap, so he turns to get his front. T1 Heavy is a bit cautious, a bit hesitant, and that costs him his track. Johns is angling all right here, and as you can see, he's going to bounce one shell, and he's able to actually retrack the T1. So the T1 clearly doesn't have, I mean, he's only at tier 5, so he probably doesn't have a highly trained crew. But he doesn't have a good enough crew or even a toolbox, so he just can't prepare in time. And although the BDR doesn't have the best reload, Johns is actually able to keep him perma-tracked, and how often could you say that in a BDR? So the T1 didn't really have any immediate backup, but yeah, we just spotted that Su-85B coming in. So I'm not quite sure why Johns didn't turn to then engage the Su-85, because he's got Rex he could use as cover there, but maybe he was worried about somebody coming round and basically doing what he did to that Churchill 3. Anyway, he's now the last person on his team. Yes, he has got 3/4 of his hit points, give or take, so he's not doing too badly in that regard, and he knows there's one tank on the cap which could either be the Stuart or the KV-1S, so I guess we'll see which one's... Yes, there we go, it's the KV-1S. And there's also enemy artillery to contend with, but the most dangerous enemy artillery, the M41, actually died, so that's good. He's only got a tier 4 and a tier 3. What's even better is he's just set this KV-1S alight, who didn't have a fire extinguisher, apparently, or was unwilling to use it. So, although he took a hit in the process, and although he's had to heal up his driver, he actually... Oh, hello, Stuart. Back from all right. He was actually able to take out the KV-1S with just 2 shots instead of 3, and that means he doesn't have to hang around there longer than he has had to, and is actually able to get to cover. The Stug wasn't able to get there sooner, and he also wasn't vulnerable to artillery for longer. However, the Stug has, perhaps wisely, decided to load his premium ammo, because this is a really crunch situation. But his second shell, well, third really I suppose, actually hits the wreck of the Stuart that's in front of John's, and John's gets away with taking only one hit. However, that one hit has taken him down to 170 hit points. It's looking a bit dicey at this point. The Su-85B also could be a threat, depending on what gun he's got, and depending how smart he is, but John's... I'm not sure why he backs up. We know the Su-85B is the last vehicle left on the enemy team that isn't an artillery, but he backs up and then he looks as if he's going to drive around, and then he changes his tank, and his tank direction rather. I'm not quite sure why. I mean, if it was a bit of subterfuge, it really wasn't going to fool the SU for long, unless he figured the SU would be turning to face him. But as it turns out, none of that matters, because the SU got himself wedged. Yeah, and he doesn't have the top gun, but that doesn't matter, because he's wedged. There's nothing he can do, he just fires in frustration and explodes. Artillery's still taking pot shots at John's at this point, but we've pretty much got this in the bag. There's a chance the artillery, if they coordinate, if they play it smart, they might be able to combat him if one of them goes and spots and the other pre-aims. So that's his only real chance of failure at this point. He's basically just going to sit on the cap, and they're either going to come to him or they're just going to let him cap. And it would be a bit boring if they just let him cap, because we'd just be sitting here looking at him cap for the next 3 minutes. But it would still be a win, and he'd still have a Radley Walters medal, which is quite impressive at tier 5. He's also done just over 3,000 damage, which is definitely quite impressive. The alpha on this gun, I mean, it does stack up. It's 240 average alpha, and you'd better get used to that if you want to play the French heavy tanks, because up until tier 7, that's basically all you get is 240 alpha. Tier 8 even. Tier 8 you finally get a bit more with the 100mm gun on the 5100. Although it's a bit different if you go and play the tank destroyer line, because you get a 105mm gun at tier... what am I talking about? Tier 6. Tier 5 even. In fact, you get that 105mm gun at tier 6 on the heavy line, but you don't see that many people using it. Anyway, that was off at a complete tangent, and I couldn't even remember the guns that the French get properly. But yeah, no, yeah, you do get the 105mm at tier 6 on the heavy line as well, on the ARL. Yes, of course you do. I'm just talking nonsense now. Anyway, the Vesper's turned up. The M37 might be somewhere behind him just aiming, so he actually pulls back behind cover, misses that shot, and yeah, there's the M37 as well, by the way, who I think hits him in the track, because if he hit him in the side, in the turret, in the front, well, there's a chance he could have killed Johns, because Johns didn't have much health left. It's now down to the Vesper, and I don't know why he didn't fire at that moment, but maybe he was just leery of the gun misbehaving as it did with the Vesper, actually. It was the Vesper shot that missed. But that shot doesn't miss. The Vesper pulls around the corner. He was in a very unenviable position, and he just got blapped. He really didn't have a chance. I mean, he could have run, I suppose, but Johns at that point knew where he was. He could have just chased after him, so that would have been that anyway. So that was an ace tanker game, a Pools medal and a Kolobanov's, and it was a first for Johns in that he hadn't had either of those medals before, and he managed to get both in one match. Now, it's not that uncommon to see Kolobanov's along with the Pools, but of course it's not like the Pools is that common to begin with, so it's just to get both in your very first year, well, to get both of them for the first time in the same match is that must have been a pretty good feeling. He also had high caliber and a top gun, unsurprisingly, about the high caliber, because he, looking at the team list, he did as much damage as the rest of his team all put together. He had to work pretty hard to make that one a win. Now, the enemy team were somewhat obliging as well. They mostly split up at all the wrong times, and they were, some of them, trying to support each other, but they were turning up just that bit too late. So the Stug came round the corner when the KV-1S was already dead, and similar with the Su-85B trying to charge to help the T1 Heavy when the T1 Heavy, you know, died too quickly, from the Su-85B's point of view anyway. And of course, he also had some luck in that he lit up that KV-1S, and that the SU-85B also managed to get himself wedged. Yeah, he must have been fairly frustrated. He won't be making that mistake again, I can assure you. At least, I hope he won't. So that was a pretty good result. It wasn't good enough to win my contest, unfortunately, but it was good enough to get showcased on my channel. So even though it didn't win you anything, Johns, it will get you a bit of recognition for a very well played game indeed. So if you enjoyed this replay, you can hit the like button, you can leave any comments below, you can subscribe to my channel, and as always, stay tuned for more.